Warming up is critical for setting the stage for the day to come, for developing your technique, and so many other things. And it's something that we're all trying to get better at. I was watching a great video the other day by Jeremy Kurtz-Harris, who's the principal bassist of the San Diego Symphony and teaches bass at San Diego State. He's a former student of Hal Robinson's. He went to Curtis and has just continued to develop as a teacher and performer and communicator on the double bass. And as I was watching this, I was thinking, wow, I am learning so much and I'm going to take these to my warm-up sessions. So in this video, I'm going to go through and react to what Jeremy is covering and how he's getting into warming up and show you how you can apply this to your own development.
This is another 30-minute workout. We're going to start out with some open tones. First, though, I want you to think about the space you have. Often when we play, we stay sort of in this general range. First, we're just going to take our right arms and pretend, you can almost pretend that you're in a bubble, and you want that bubble to increase to about 3 times your usual size. So imagine it's big enough that if you swing your bow, the very tip doesn't quite hit the bubble in any direction.
So this could be hard in rehearsal.
Big arm circle.
But it's a great warm-up.
So first we're starting with arm circles. But now I want you to think from your feet, from your hips. Even if you're sitting on a stool, you can do this large range motion. Feel like your whole body's doing it.
And I'm sitting on a stool right now just to be locked in for this video, but just like Jeremy says, you can totally be on a stool and do this and you're just feeling your sit bones and the connection to the floor, but standing is great. And back when I used to sit all the time, I would sometimes stand for exercises like this. And so whether you sit or stand, doing this is just awesome. It's just such a great full body exercise and kind of like coming to the bass in a healthy way exercise.
Make a giant circle and think of this extending in every direction. So you have all this space. Now we're going to come down, bring it all the way down with your full weight and just draw it as a down bow. Release it in the same direction. Come up, come down again, down bow. Full body movement. Everything is this huge connected circle. Your entire body is part of this. Your torso moves, you're grounded in your feet. Draw through, connect.
And I just forget to do this a lot of the time. I'll start off warming up and I'll kind of think about my body and do like a scan, but to actually go beyond the range of motion that's actually required to get the string going, but to actually like get this full body motion, oh, it's such a relaxing way to start.
One more big one on the D string. Now we're going to do up bows. You can come a little bit slower so you don't stick your tip between the strings, but come down again, big motion, and the follow through was important here. Let it follow through all the way, huge circle.
I always forget to do this.
Feel that you have ample space in every direction so you can really be expansive. That's the important thing here, is that you just feel like you have a lot of space.
And even though I have plenty of space to do this, I'm not going to hit the camera even, I'm certainly not going to hit the ceiling in here, I find myself like not exploring the full extent of the space, which shows me that I really need to do more of this to get my practice session going.
Space, room, allowance to move. Okay, now we're going to do drones. Basically 4 beats in each direction, down and up. First will be on the G, then the D, then the A, then the E. So 4 beats on each. 1, 2, 3, G string. 1, 2, 3, 4, up bow.
And watch the way his torso kind of leads. You can see as he's taking a down bow and then he goes to the up bow. You can actually watch the torso turn. It's just such a great example of full body motion.
D string, full body, follow through.
See that turn?
A string,
whether you're sitting or standing.
E string, again starting on the E string, 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, up bow.
Even these simple exercises like this, thinking, at least for me, thinking about dividing it 25, 50, 75, 100 with each one of those clicks, and just really being predictable and proportionate in your bow usage. I find that such a great way to just kind of get everything going and warmed up and dialed in.
A string. D string.
You can see how well centered he is. How his head's not craned forward or anything. Just nice balance, good poise and posture.
Now we're going to experiment with some placements of the bow. I'm gonna get my A string tuned first. 1 second. Slipping. Okay. We're gonna think about this as 3 positions. Just under the fingerboard is 1, middle is 2, and very close to the bridge is 3. First, we're gonna start out on the A string. We're gonna do 2 beats per bow. So 1, 2, 1, 2.
Twice the bow speed.
1 is where your bow is placed. Position 1, 3, 4. So
by the fingerboard.
1, 2, up bow. Keep doing this.
And let's just point out that we're a few minutes into this already. We haven't done anything besides open strings. And I think the more advanced the player, the more artistically refined the player, it seems to me, as I continue to live and meet more and more people, the more they spend time doing stuff like this. I remember when I was subbing in the Lyric Opera of Chicago and the orchestra there was a huge concertmaster solo in maybe Rosencavalier, I forget what opera it was, and the concertmaster had their own dressing room. So Robert Hanford at the time, maybe he still is concertmaster, but he was down there and he was warming up. But he wasn't warming up on the giant, challenging solo in the opera. No, he was warming up on stuff like this. And so no matter where you're at, fundamentals, those are the things that are really going to take your game forward.
4 beats in the middle. So this is position 2 I'm calling it for today. 3, 4. Slower bow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
You can hear the tone change too.
1, 2, 3.
Similar, but a little
4.
brighter.
Go. Now we're going to go to position 3, which we're calling today, close to the bridge. 6 beats. Let the resistance of the string work for you, so you can go slower.
You're going to feel it now.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And you can hear it in Jeremy's sound if you listen closely to the video, and I will link up to the complete video so you don't have to hear me yammering over it if you want to just dig into Jeremy's very wise words and exercises here. But as I'm doing it, I feel a little sponginess in the first placement, and it definitely sounds a bit darker. The middle placement is kind of what I think of as my kind of default sound. And by the way, if it looks very weird to you, or it looks like I'm always playing over the fingerboard, I have this extremely extended fingerboard that's about this much longer than normal. So I would be over the fingerboard, or I would be not over the fingerboard here if I didn't have that. And so it all looks like I'm over the fingerboard, but that's just me. This third placement Jeremy's doing, I definitely feel the resistance, and I like it. It's not as close to the bridge as I can play, but it's closer than I might normally play, and I think there's something to be said for just pushing your boundaries a little bit in terms of bow placement to the bridge. I've talked to violinists, violists, cellists, as well as bassists that have focused on doing that, and it really expands your palette and your tone. So this third placement, I find this is where a lot of the gains happen.
2 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So 6 because the bow moves slower.
3. Now we're going to go to the D string. 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2.
And just like we were doing with the 4 per bow, for 6, now we can break it into sixths. So we can think 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, or half. So make sure that you're right at the half and then all the way out. And I've had students, I've done this myself, I've actually taken these little post-it note flags and put them at various divisions of the bow just to be really scientific. And I find the more dialed in and scientific and accurate and fastidious and detail-oriented you can be with this sort of stuff, the more progress you'll make.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to go to
nice
position 2, 4,
straight bow.
5, 6. 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now moving up to position 1, 2 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1.
And you know, I was playing Beethoven 7 with the San Francisco Symphony yesterday afternoon, and I think I used all of these positions at some point or another in the second movement. Probably that second placement, and then when it really gets big, when I was really trying to get that edge, and every other bass player in the section was kind of going for that. So having these 3 general placements, and certainly there are infinite other ones, but these 3 are a great place to start.
So that's just bringing some awareness to our bow contact, bow speed, and just the resonance of the instrument. Next, we're going to do some things in G major. We're going to start out with right hand emphasis. So we're going to do 1, 2, 1, 2 on each note. 3 and 4 and.
Now I'll join.
It's going to be 2 octaves.
Using what, half the bow, just like Jeremy? Taking those open string lessons.
Smooth and resonant.
Smooth and resonant. Great keywords. And I think keywords like that, smooth and resonant, that's so helpful. That can take all these little bits of information floating around that you've practiced and just pull it all together into one thing. And I have gone through phases of my life where I've written those keywords on my music. I have found that to be very helpful. So maybe play around with that rather than trying to think about, oh, this has to be just like this has to be just like this. Find some keywords that just sort of combine all those little bits and kind of chunk them into one word or a couple words that you can process easily.
So that was quarter notes. Now we're going to do eighth notes. Again, just up and down, 2 octave scale. 1 and 2 and.
And look at how relaxed and open his arm is. He doesn't have like an insane amount of wrist motion, like there's not all sorts of floppiness, but there's just like a nice, it's like the arm is piloting and the fingers just have a little bit of give to them.
Now triplets. 1 and 2 and
So speeding up
3,
the bow divisions.
4.
I love that he's parked in front of a mirror. I don't know if this was intentional, but whether or not it is, this is awesome because you're actually getting to see Jeremy from the back too. And I don't know if you've been noticing in this video, I certainly have, how free and open he is just in terms of his torso. And as he continues, if you haven't watched yet, watch just his back and how it operates, and you can really learn a lot just about seeing the musculature and seeing how, as he goes through the various registers, like just what's working and how things change.
Less bow you use. Keep the same bow speed, but just less. 16ths. 3 and a 4 and a, like that. 3, 4. Right hand warm up. Now we're going to do the left hand version. So first we're going to do eighth notes, which is going to be 2 slurred, 1 and 2, and the right hand always stays in quarters. So it's just.
So we started just getting the instrument resonating and nice simple motions, and now going through and warming up the right hand. Notice how focused this is on the right hand. I think that's the big thing to take away from this video with Jeremy is the great Pinchas Zuckerman. I've said this probably too many times on this channel, but I remember being in a masterclass with Zuckerman a while back, and he pointed to his bow arm and he said, "See this? This is your bank account. The better this is, the more money you got in it." I don't know if that analogy completely works, but certainly notice this is the first time we're really starting to talk about the left hand. And what Jeremy is doing is building up velocity. So we got everything going, and we were just building up right arm velocity, bow velocity. Now we're going to start to build up left hand velocity through slurs, or I call them accelerating scale sometimes. And then there are many different ways to do this. So I'm interested to see how Jeremy does this.
Moving back, whatever subdivisions we do. So eighth notes, up and down twice. 3 and 4 and.
Recommend practicing along just like I'm doing with Jeremy to the video and watching Jeremy and his motion. I'm feeling my body unlock and relax just as we're going through. It's like a virtual lesson with Jeremy. It's awesome.
Now we're going to do triplets. So 1 and a 2 and a. We're going to do this 3 times so that it works out. So keep wrapping it around until the end of the 3rd time. We'll end on a down bow. 3 and a 4 and a.
I call this, when I work with students, ending on a fresh down bow. So the idea, at least the way I learn these exercises, we'll see as we continue with Jeremy, is you repeat until you land on a fresh down bow for the root note, for the low note. And that's just what happened right here.
As we get faster, be aware of your left hand, what we call frame or position. If you're doing pivots, that will be one thing, but for now, if you're just doing straight shifts like what I'm doing, keep your hand as efficient as possible. Fingers close to the fingerboard. Shifts are fast and clean, but no flyaway fingers, no excess motion. Just keep it nice and close. We're going to do 16ths, up and down twice, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Let's do that one more time. I notice for me sometimes 1 or 2 notes start going out of tune as I go faster. So I'm just going to pay attention to that and see if I can dial them in.
Me too.
3 and a 4 and
I noticed that too. There's notes going out of tune. So practicing with the drone can be really helpful, and also just understanding just intonation and how different notes tilt as you go up and down. I've done a whole video on that with the wonderful Molly Sharp, which I will link up to here. But yeah, keeping that pitch magnifying glass on, or magnifying whatever analogy you want, super critical.
Okay, now we're going to do sort of a double stop exercise, but we're going to start it as a diatonic exercise. So thirds. It's going to sound like this first. So we're going to go all the way up the scale, and then I'll once we get to the end, shuffle G, and then we come back like. That'll be the pattern.
Just beyond the G.
3 and 4 and.
Jeremy's a great reference.
Hold on the G. 2, 3, 4. Now come down.
We learn a lot just practicing along with Jeremy. Intonation, tone, bow usage. I love that mirror too, just to see how balanced he is. That active, kind of lean he's got just a little bit, like an athletic pose.
Now, next version, we're going to do it in position. So make sure you keep everything closed. Everything's going to be in position. And this time, do it with vibrato. Get a nice tone. So
and by the way, yeah, this is you can see Jeremy was not happy with a couple of those notes, and it makes me happy to see that he's not happy, because I'm never happy with my intonation doing things like this. And so this sounds like a simple addition as we build upon what we've just done. But now closing all the notes, this is where you might get into intonational muddy water, murky water, whatever phrase you want to use. So using a drone, I like to put a drone on the 5th for this kind of thing. So I would put a drone on D and take my time and go slow. So working on this under tempo and really developing the fingerings. This is significantly more challenging in my book, doing the closed notes, because you're starting to do more string crossings instead of just going up a string.
We go that speed, but get a good vibrato on each note.
So vibrato on each
3,
note too. Okay.
4.
And the wonderful violinist, one of the title chair first violin players in the Los Angeles Philharmonic, Nathan Cole, he talks a lot about practicing on his YouTube channel, which is great, by the way. And one thing that he talks about, which I love, is you should be succeeding almost all the time while you're practicing. So if this is getting challenging, which it's challenging for me too, break it down so that you will be succeeding. And one of my favorite ways to break something like this down is to repeat notes. By going slow and just holding, that's cool too. But there's this lack of rhythmic motion when you're going really super slow with this kind of thing, that can be great. Just sitting there and really meditating on the drone and the relation and feeling the note blossom and the bell-like ringtones that Dennis Whitaker talks about as you go up and down the bass. That's great, but I also find, and this is true for people just starting the bass, little kids to adults to anywhere in between, wherever you are on your journey, having some rhythmic framework can be really helpful. So I like to do 4 on each note, and that gives me a chance to vibrate. That'll make the exercise 4 times as long, but that's helpful. And then 3, then 2, then finally 1. And I probably wouldn't do all of those in the same day. I'd probably do 4 reps, maybe the first day, then 3, then 2. And if it feels a little tricky on 3 or 2, I'd probably repeat that a few different days. Just a tip for breaking things down so that you can succeed no matter where you're at.
Okay, that's the prep. Now we're going to do the double stops. So for the double stops, we'll do single notes first and then combine, just like this. And then together. Since the lower note is basically our scale, focus on that one. So it's basically we're ground on the first note, find the harmony here, but still ground on the lower note as we...
Yeah, I find that super helpful. Like, you got to pick a note with the double stop to be the rock, because otherwise you're like kind of adjusting like that. So breaking these apart like this, like Jeremy's saying, that's so helpful. And if that sounds muddy, well, think about how low we're playing. Just go over to piano and play that G and B together on the piano. It will also sound brrr, but as we get higher, there's going to be a little bit more clarity and comprehensibility to these intervals. And double stops are so great for developing your sound. Gary Carr spends a chunk of every day, at least he used to, last time I chatted with him, practicing double stops, and it's twice the number of strings is more challenging than just one string, and getting good tone on both notes is more challenging than just getting good tone on one note. So if you can get good double stops going, you're going to be set up for a lot of things.
We go up. Here we go. 2 octaves. 3, 4. Then half note. A and C. B and D. C and E. And so on.
So that's about half of this video. Definitely check out the rest of this with Jeremy and subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's doing great work over there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.